All right, welcome back, and here we go. We're going to get right into the four parts. I'm going to talk pretty quickly, so this is video, so all you have to do is hit pause, and you can back it back up. But we're going to go into all four of the parts that if you understand and can memorize what these four parts are: research, strategy, testing, and measuring, then looking at any advertising campaign or any competitor's marketing, you'll know every little piece of what goes into making that work. And you'll be looking at a marketing and advertising campaign from the inside out instead of from the outside like a customer. So we're going to get into these four parts right now. We're going to do it real quick, but it's going to be a wealth of knowledge. So it doesn't matter what you do for a living. If you have a business that you are in charge of the sales growth going up, you're going to want to pay attention, write notes, and use some of this information. Even if you don't become one of my students, this is some of the stuff that I actually teach in my classes, and you're going to get a chance to get some of the real nitty-gritty details. All right, so the four parts again are research, strategies, testing, and measuring. The first one, research, you got to find out about you. You got to figure out how your company or you or whatever it is that your product or service is can be competition less. And that's the name of the website, and it basically means that there's less competition. You differentiate yourself from the competition, and you market yourself in such a way so that nobody is truly in competition with you. You're in a league of your own. And one really great way to do that is to find niches within niches. And what is a niche? It's like saying, this is my little piece of the market. The whole market, let's say I'm a printer. My market is anybody who gets printing done. But if I narrow it down to a tiny little sliver, a niche, I could say that I do printing for restaurants, like menus and things like that. Or I could go even further into that and say I don't just print, and I don't just print for restaurants, but I print for pizza restaurants. And not just the big brand names, but I print for mom and pop pizza shops, people that only have to do a direct mail within 5 miles of their place of business. So think about niches that way, because if you do and you niche your product or service to a specific market, a lot of people have this misunderstanding, this misconception that you're lowering how many people you can market to. But truthfully, if you're speaking directly to a specific piece of the market, they know it, they understand that, their ears perk up, red flags, and they're paying attention. They go out of alpha and into beta mode and start paying attention because you're speaking directly to them. Like, for instance, a lot of what my training is good for is for business owners, would-be business owners, other marketing people that do marketing for other business owners, web designers, and graphic designers, because they're the hub of what make businesses work and get results in advertising and how it all works. So, for me, I speak directly to business owners, marketing consultants, and web and graphic designers. Those are the main people that I teach how to do this stuff. You got to know your markets. That's another big piece of your research. You have to know your market, whether or not you're going to be marketing locally, nationally, or internationally. You have to start somewhere, so locally is the easiest way to get started. But there isn't a lot of competition on a local level. There's also less people, though, so that's the downside of marketing your products and services locally. Then, of course, nationally, I feel is a lot easier. That's mainly because there's a lot more people out there to sell to. The downside is that there's a lot more competition when you're dealing with a national market, and people with a lot more money and businesses with a lot more money that can compete with you. So you're competing against the big boys. Then you have to figure out who your best customers are. When you're doing your research, your best customer is the person who's been thoroughly educated on all of the most important things when buying whatever it is you sell. And they don't need any more coaxing. They don't need anybody to tell them anymore. They're already sold. They've sold themselves. And so they're ready to buy. So they're in the readiness to buy stage. But a lot of people don't realize this, but there's 20 times more people in the research stage deciding what kind of company and what kind of products to buy than there are in the ready to buy stage. You got one person in the ready to buy stage and 19 that are just researching and kicking tires and trying to find out how to make a more informed decision when they buy whatever it is that they're going to buy, whatever your product and service is. The next thing you have to keep in mind is direct and indirect competition. Who actually is affected by your services or products is an indirect competition, sort of. And that's meaning, like, does your product or service, does it directly affect not just the buyer but their family members? Well, then those are people that that are still going to have to be overcome as far as objections, and the education process needs to be suited so that those people that are directly affected, whether it's the HR department at a company and the CEO and the employees and the mail department and everybody else involved in the company is going to be affected by your product and service. You have to keep those things in mind, both direct and indirect competition. And you got to remember, are there other places where your products and services are competing for the same dollars spent? The next one that I've got here is possible joint ventures and co-ops. Let me clear the air a little bit as to what a joint venture is and what a co-op would be. A joint venture is more like people that would directly share in the profits of selling your products and services, meaning they'll go to their lists, and we're going to talk more in detail as this goes on, but lists are where the money's at. Do you have a big list, and do you have a good relationship with them? Now, let's say that somebody else has a really big list. That's a joint venture if they're going to send out to their list of people that respect their opinion and value what it is they have to say, and then those people buy from you. You're going to need to split some of the money with what's called a joint venture. Whereas a co-op is a little different. Maybe you and another company who are not in in direct competition with each other can co-op basically on the advertising cost, and both of you pool from the same group but for different products and services. You don't actually share in the profits, you just share in the list. The next thing in your research that you have to pay a lot of attention to is your proof and your supporting evidence. Whatever it is that you're selling that sets you apart, whatever it is that is the innovations and the improvements that you have that make you leaps and bounds above your competition, you've got to find proof and supporting evidence to back yourself up. It's your saving grace, your credibility, your before and afters, your statistics that show that you're right and that your way that your business is run, your products and services, the way the features and benefits are set up, are in line with what everybody wants. And so there's proof of that in the marketplace. A lot of that can have to do with celebrities that agree with you, or industry titans, people that are respected in your industry that also agree with what you say. Like a big thing for me is that content is the king. And there's been numerous people in marketing and advertising that say this. Some of the biggest names, everybody from Jeff Walker and Andy Jenkins and Eben Pagan and Frank Kern and all these other big guru names, have all said that the content, what you say and how you say it, is more important than the pretty pictures on the page, or the fact that you did video, or the graphic design, or the coolness of your web page. None of that stuff matters. Your logo doesn't matter. None of that matters until first you've explained to somebody and educated them. It's that content that they get, that valuable content, that is king. A lot of celebrities have said that. A lot of big names in our industry, in the marketing industry, have all said the same things that I'm saying to you. Those guys all say the same thing. I learned from all of these guys, and now I've proven it, that they were right and that I'm right, and that this is the way that it works. So you have to make sure that the market agrees with you. So that's, to sum up, the research side of things, go over it real quick, was, how to be competition-less and, separate yourself from your competition, what your market is wanting, and, who your best customers could be, as well as who's your indirect and direct competition. You want to make sure that who is able to venture with you, whether it's a joint venture or co-ops, you want to start thinking of those things ahead of time. You don't want to wait till the last minute to try to figure that stuff out. And then you have proof and supporting evidence which backs up all of your claims. So that's your research stage. We're going to get into the strategy stage in just a minute, so hold on. I'm going to point you to the next video.